In 1887, a group of black hunters ventured into the dense Montana wilderness, seeking game and freedom in a land that promised opportunity. Their laughter echoed through the pines until they vanished. Dozens never returned from that fateful camp, their fates sealed by a chilling act of betrayal. What happened in those shadowy woods? Why did an entire community turn a blind eye? Stay with us to uncover a haunting truth that still resonates today. Elijah Carter, a 32-year-old former sharecropper from Alabama, had carved out a new life in Montana's rugged frontier. Freed from the chains of the South, he found solace in the vast wilderness, where the air tasted of possibility. A skilled hunter, Elijah led a tight-knit group of black families who had migrated west, chasing dreams of land and independence. They built a small community near Bozeman, their cabins warmed by shared stories of resilience. Each autumn, Elijah organized a hunting camp, a tradition that bonded them through laughter and survival. In 1887, the camp promised to be their best yet. Elijah, with his weathered hands and steady gaze, planned the trip meticulously, mapping routes through the pine-choked valleys. His wife, Clara, packed provisions, her smile hiding worries about the world beyond their haven. The group, 20 men, women, and children, set out with rifles and hope, unaware of the storm brewing. Whispers of resentment had begun to ripple through Bozeman's white settlers, who eyed the black community's success with suspicion. Elijah sensed the tension, but believed the wilderness was a sanctuary, free from the South's old hatreds. As they trekked deeper into the forest, the group felt the weight of unseen eyes. The pines stood silent, but something sinister lingered. What they didn't know was that their journey would collide with a force far darker than the wilderness itself. The hunting camp bustled with life as Elijah's group settled into a clearing by a rushing creek. Tents rose under towering pines, and the scent of roasting venison filled the air. Children darted between trees, their laughter a fleeting shield against the chill of autumn. Elijah, ever vigilant, assigned lookouts, his instincts sharpened by years of navigating a world that often turned hostile. Yet the first few days passed in harmony, with hunters returning laden with game, their spirits high. But the wilderness hid more than deer. On the third night, a scout spotted tracks, human, not animal, circling the camp. Elijah's got twisted. These weren't the footprints of curious travelers. The group tightened their circle, keeping fires low, but unease settled like frost. Whispers spread among the hunters. Had they been followed? Bozeman's white townsfolk had grown bolder, their resentment fueled by tales of black families claiming land they deemed theirs. Elijah brushed off the fears, urging unity. But the tracks multiplied, circling closer each night. By the fifth day, supplies began to vanish. A sack of flour, a bundle of jerky, small losses but deliberate. The group's mood darkened, suspicion gnawing at their bonds. Clara, usually a pillar of calm, clutched her shawl, her eyes scanning the trees. Then, a chilling discovery. A child found a noose dangling from a low branch, its coarse rope a stark warning. Panic rippled through the camp. Elijah called a meeting, his voice steady but strained. He spoke of perseverance, of their right to this land, but doubt crept into even his heart. The next dawn, hoofbeats shattered the silence. A posse of white men, armed and grim, emerged from a mist. Their leader, a local rancher named Hargrove, accused the group of poaching on his land. Elijah stood tall, asserting their rights, but Hargrove's men fanned out, rifles gleaming. The air crackled with menace. Elijah urged calm, but young Hunter, emboldened by fear, raised his gun. A shot rang out, whose no one knew, and chaos erupted. The group scattered, screams swallowed by the forest. Elijah grabbed Clara's hand, pulling her toward cover, but the posse's pursuit was relentless. As night fell, the camp lay abandoned, tents torn, fires smoldering. Tracks led in every direction, but the wilderness kept its secrets. Dozens were missing, Elijah among them. Had they fled, or had something far worse claimed them? The forest, once a refuge, now held a grim truth, waiting to be uncovered. Dawn broke cold and gray, the forest a maze of shadows. Elijah, separated from Clara, stumbled through the underbrush, his breath ragged. Blood streaked his arm from a stray bullet, but he pressed on, driven by the need to find his people. The posse shouts echo behind him. Closer now. Their dogs baying with hunger. He crouched behind a boulder, heart pounding, as Hargrove's voice cut through the mist, taunting, "You don't belong here." Elijah's mind raced. He'd faced hatred before, whips in Alabama, sneers in Bozeman, but this was different. The wilderness, his sanctuary, had become a trap. He clutched his rifle, torn between fighting and fleeing. A scream pierced the air, Clara's. His resolve hardened. Creeping through the pines, he found her cornered near the creek, Hargrove's men circling like wolves. Her eyes met his, wide with fear but fierce with defiance. He acted without thought. Bursting from the trees, Elijah fired, the crack of his rifle scattering the posse. Clara broke free, running toward him, but Hargrove spun, his shotgun raised. Time slowed as Elijah dove, shielding Clara. The blast roared, pain searing his chest. He fell, blood pooling beneath him. Clara's sobs a distant echo. Hargrove loomed, his face twisted with triumph, but the forest seemed to hold its breath. As Elijah's vision faded, he saw figures moving in the shadows, his people regrouping, their silhouettes defiant against the dawn. The posse hesitated, outnumbered. Elijah's sacrifice had bought them a chance. Would they escape the wilderness's grip, or would its secrets bury them all? The survivors, led by Clara, fled deeper into the wilderness, evading the posse through sheer will. Days later, a few staggered into a distant settlement, their faces hollow, their story fractured. Of the dozens who entered the forest, only 7 returned. Elijah's body was never found, swallowed by the vast Montana pines. The Bozeman townsfolk claimed ignorance, calling it a tragic accident. But whispers of a massacre lingered, buried by official silence. Clara, now a widow, refused a break. She gathered the survivors, piecing together their tale of betrayal. The posse, driven by racial hatred, had hunted them not for poaching but for daring to thrive as free black people. The noose, the stolen supplies, the ambush, all were calculated to erase their presence. Clara's voice, once soft, grew ironclad as she spoke out, demanding justice. But the courts turned away, and the wilderness kept its grim secrets. The story of the 1887 hunting camp faded, a footnote in Montana's history, but its echoes ripple through time. It speaks to the countless acts of violence against black communities, erased from records but carved into collective memory. The wilderness, meant to be a haven, became a mirror of America's unresolved sins, where freedom was promised but often stolen. Clara lived on, raising her children to know Elijah's courage, ensuring his name endured. Today we must ask, how many stories like this remain buried? Racial injustice, whether in 1887 or now, thrives in silence. The wilderness is vast, but so is our capacity to confront truth. Will we listen to the echoes of those lost, or let them fade into the shadows?